Hey guys, this is Jeff Foose back again with episode 2 of this worship drum tutorial series. I hope the first one helped you a lot. And for this second one this week, I'm going to be talking about a certain topic, which is playing 6/8 time in worship music. So if you're new to any type of time signature other than 4/4, I just want to break this down really simple so it makes sense. So instead of 4 beats in a measure, now we'll have 6 beats in a measure. So instead of thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in each measure. So just a real quick basic intro to a beat like that would be 6 notes, 6/8 notes on either the hi-hat or the ride, and then the emphasis in 6/8 is on beats 1 and beat 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can also think of it in 2/4 time, but I don't want to throw too much other stuff at you, especially if you're new to it. So we'll just stick to just counting those 6/8 notes or quarter notes. So just a basic 6/8 to get right into it would be so like I said, you have the 6/8 notes on the hi-hat, and then your bass drum would be on beat 1 and your snare would be on beat 4, since those are the 2 beats that 6/8 emphasizes. So to start out, you really don't have to play much more than that when you're first learning a song in 6/8 in general, but even in worship, you don't have to add too much more than that. So that would be the basic beat, the most basic beat you could do if your worship leader or church is doing a song in 6/8. But if you already kind of have a little knowledge in 6/8 and you just want to add a little more to what you know already, then you can start adding a little more on the bass drum for a basic beat like that. So you can go from that basic one to something like just adding that little upbeat or offbeat right before the snare hit on 4 already adds quite a lot to that just basic beat with beat 1 just on the kick drum. So and then a lot of it comes with the feel. So if you start adding little extra notes on the snare in between playing beat 4, and you add that extra upbeat on the kick, it really starts to sound full and takes a little more shape. So I'll start out with the basic one and then add more kick and snare as I go. That I was kind of thinking of the song How He Loves, which is a little outdated now, but it was huge in the worship circles before, and that's the basic beat for that one. But that, I mean, even though that's an older song, that beat still applies. So you can add those extra, the kick and snare, and it'll make it really come to life. And instead of just playing straight like just beat 1 and then just 4 on the snare. So those extra, like the extra snare notes are called ghost notes or grace notes. So if you add those in between what your hi-hat and that snare is on 4 is doing, it really fills it out. And then you can really take the kick as far as you want. that was even still pretty basic what I added there, but you can go even more if you want to fill it in a little more. So you can do like a, but generally you don't want to be too busy. So in certain songs that would work, but it sounds a little more simple and direct if you just play it a little straighter. So and then of course you can add, just like in 4/4, if you've been playing in worship bands a long time, 4/4 is obviously the most popular time signature. So just like in 4/4, if you want to add a little more spice to what's going on, you can add, extra hi-hats, like double strokes and grace notes. So you can really add just a few things here and there to make it a little fuller and a little more interesting. So just taken from the basic, you can start to add a little more hi-hat. That's usually what I add if I want to add a little more to what's going on. So you can, instead of just playing the straight H notes in 6/8, you can add a little more with you can bring your left hand in and add a little more, either on the hi-hat or as ghost notes, like I said, on the snare. But so you can do like a, those just add a lot of character, and it doesn't really sound too like you're overplaying too much because it's softer. And if you play those strokes a little softer too, it won't sound in the way too much. So that's like a main full drum set groove in 6/8, and then you can also just like we talked about last week for the snare stuff, the marching stuff, you can also do the same thing in 6/8. So if you just play a straight snare cadence without any rolls or anything, it would just be but then once you add flams and paradiddles and different double stroke rudiments, it makes it sound a lot more interesting once you learn how to do that. So you can apply that, and then also the tom stuff too, like we talked about. So you can apply the same thing that you did in 4/4, and then it'll just be 2 beats longer in 6/8. So as long as you remember that counting, and eventually you won't have to count every H note, just like you already can do in 4/4. You're just playing, you just kind of know where all the beats fall, so it'll get that way for you in 6/8 once you do it a little while too. So as long as you're keeping that nice steady pulse, that's all you have to really do. Even if you don't want to try all this extra stuff that I'm talking about today, at least that'll give you something to shoot for down the road. So, and then the same thing applies to when you're building. So you can start there with just the 8th note build and then go to like a 16th note. So that's the cool thing, because it translates from the 4/4 stuff that we were talking about last week into 6/8. It's just a longer phrase. So, and then in some cases, not too much in worship, but like rock bands that do 6/8, sometimes they'll go to like a 2/4 type driving thing. So if you ever do come across that in worship, so you'd be playing in 6/8, and then there'd usually be some kind of build a bigger build, and then you go to like a driving 2/4, so it would sound like this. Show that because, like I said, you could also count 6/8 as 2/4. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. So it can be divided into groups of 2 like that, instead of thinking the 6. So so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover on that. Just how a lot of it really applies the same way you'd use it in 4/4, with as far as your builds and how much you're putting in between the beats. And then the same thing again with your fills in 6/8. You don't want to play too crazy. 6/8 is based more on triplets, so sometimes there's some more triplety kind of fills you can do. But you pretty much want to stick to just 8th or 16th note subdivisions for most of what you're doing for worship, just because it is kind of a simpler feel, and you don't want to get in the way of the vocals too much, because those are the most important thing. So any time you're playing like a softer 6/8, you just want to have the same kind of dynamics. So I already covered like playing a snare type cadence or floor tom type thing in 6/8. So you just want to keep that same feel that you would in 4/4. So I think that covers pretty much everything about 6/8. You just want to remember that it's 2 beats longer than a 4/4 measure. So I hope that helps. We'll see you next week. And again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe this video to anyone you know that would like it. Thank you.